Now, James Melendez, thank you for coming by my tasting table today. This wine is next. Now, this is a wine 8 at the gate. This is from South Australia in a region called Wrattonbully. This is a 2019 vintage Chardonnay. Stay tuned. I'll give you my thoughts and perspectives on this wine. So before I begin, be sure to subscribe to this channel. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much. I do appreciate it, and please give a like. Now, I've tasted Chardonnay rarely from Australia. So I have a video right up here of another review of 3 wines from 8 at the Gate. Now, one of them is a Chardonnay, but I pulled the other Chardonnay aside to talk about specifically Australian Chardonnay and of course this wine. To me, it's really important to think about. And my only exposure early on in tasting Australian wines was Chardonnay from Penfolds, and it's a very expensive flagship wine, white wine of Penfolds, and it's probably one of the most easily recognized and appreciated Chardonnays from Australia. It's in the Adelaide Hills, which is in South Australia, just as this wine is here. Now, this is from Wrattonbully. Now, Wrattonbully, say from Adelaide Hills, is about 353 kilometers south, which is about 219 miles south of Adelaide Hills. And here's a map right here so you get an idea, a context of this region. I definitely have a great respect for Australian winemakers because I think they are producing amazing wines. They've been doing so for a very long time and doing so in a manner where I think it's just innovative wines, beautiful wines. I do believe that probably Australia has more varieties of wine grapes being grown than even the United States. So Australian winemaking is just such a pride and joy of the country, and it's evident, and it's something I think is really quite fantastic. So here we go with this wine, Screw Cap wine. And so 8 at the Gate, I'll read a bit of the story, copy on the back, and I'll show you the front. 2019 vintage. Here's a back label. This is a single vineyard estate. Now it's Wrattonbully single vineyard, 12.9% ABV. So that's actually super, super difficult to find. Even in the United States, I'd say it's not something you're going to find very easily. But to me, there's no way of capturing what would this wine taste like at 14.5. Now it says matured in French oak, which I definitely get, but it's also pleasantly so. It's not so overly oaked. It's not 100% new oak, of course. I'm guessing that's the case. I don't have a tech sheet, but I think it's just such a nicely balanced wine, and so it comes together very harmoniously. Now, here's the reason for the name of the wine brand itself. Named for the morning ritual of assembling their 8 children at the gate for the school bus, 2 sisters produce wines grown in the Terra Rosa soils of Lanacona Estate. And so this is, a partnership between these 2 sisters. Here's a nice label. I think it's a nice paper. It's almost like it feels like a silken package. And so each of these colors of the 8 itself are going to change per each of the wines that they do produce. So I'm glad to be tasting, as I started off talking about the Turn of Penfolds Chardonnay, it's not a fair comparison to put these together. And I just brought that out simply because that was my first exposure. And I love to see more Australian Chardonnays hitting the shores of the United States because I think Australians are just producing fantastic, beautiful wines. In fact, more Shiraz, we don't have enough, in my opinion. And maybe a generation ago, there was a lot of it in the United States at many retailers. And so very little of it today. In fact, I don't ever see any Australian wines on a wine list, at least wines by the glass, which would be really cool to see. I think it'll be happening. And for great reason. I think amazingly high quality, beautiful wines come from Australia. This is not an oaky, buttery Chardonnay by any measure. It's a well-balanced Chardonnay and one that can go with a variety of foods. So the nose presents with green apple notes, quince, crushed oyster shell, and pine nut. So 2 things to think about. Pine nut is a kiss of sweetness and earthiness. And the oyster shell, obviously it's going to give that oyster characterization, that salinity, but also that minerality note. So to me, that's what I'm getting on the nose. And next, the palate characterization. Nice, beautiful autumnal winter fruit notes of apple, pear, quince notes, a hint of almond, as well as just a tiny dash of nutmeg, which I very much enjoy in a Chardonnay. This is a lovely, lovely wine. Now, what I want to pair with this wine, and I think the balance on the wine really speaks to enjoyment with food. So Brancino, stillhead trout, salmon notes, as well as shellfish and roasted poultry. This wine is 93 points out of 100 points. More information on the producer down below, questions and comments you could list there. You could also do so on the sites that I'm on, the social media sites of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thank you for your support. So thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video review. questions and comments again down below. Follow me on the social medias. Share this video with somebody interested in Chardonnay from a region that is, at least from US eyes, is not always apparent. I will see you in the next video review. Stay tuned for more. Santé.